Welcome to this brief presentation on the missing link, breaking through the Strexecution point. My name is Gary Tomlinson, and I'm a Strexecutionist. Now, the term Strexecutionist is just a fancy name for a business consultant that specializes in strategy execution. At the end of this presentation, you're going to know whether or not you want to learn more about this missing link. So let's get started. Once a year in conference rooms everywhere, senior management gets together to conduct the annual strategic planning process. They collect financial and operational data, discuss trends, make forecasts, create budgets, and prepare lengthy presentations about the future direction of the organization. When they're finished, they get the whole company together to share the strategic plan. And everyone leaves the meeting feeling great about what's been accomplished and the directions the company's going in. But that's when things start to fall apart. Too often, everyone goes back to work at their daily routine, and the strategic plan goes on the shelf. With the exception of some of the sales and financial goals, it really doesn't get looked at or reviewed much until the end of the year when it gets pulled back out to see if the plan was met. It's a frustrating reality and one that happens all the time. The planning process went great. Unfortunately, the execution process wasn't so great. The problem stems from this huge gap that exists between strategizing and execution, known as the Strexecution point. The Strexecution point is the exact point of transition between strategy and execution and is where most organizations commonly falter. There's never going to be a time that organizations don't need to clarify, deploy, and achieve their organizational initiatives. Most organizations are good enough with the strategic planning side. They don't lack for plans or knowing how to do the planning process. That's not the issue. The issue is they're not getting everything done that needs to get done. And that's because of execution, which is by far the hardest part of the strategy execution equation. Every organization has execution management to some degree, but typically it's more reactive than proactive. And the further it travels throughout the organization, the cloudier it becomes. Unfortunately, less than 1% of organizations have an effective system that's been specifically designed to manage execution down to an individual level. And that's an important distinction because no matter how you slice it, execution happens at an individual level. And without a system, you're playing Russian roulette with the results. There's a well-known anecdotal statistic that 90% of all organizations fail to execute on their strategies. Well, whether that actual figure is 60%, 70%, or 90% doesn't really matter. It's still very clear that the biggest inhibitor to business success is the inability to execute on strategy. Now, this might sound like a strange statement, but strategy execution is not as intuitive or as straightforward as you might think. On one hand, everybody is getting things done to some extent, but on the other hand, they're not fully executing the strategic initiatives. The problem we face in execution is a conflict with our activities. Now, let me explain what I mean by this. We have one category of activities which can be labeled as improvement activities. Now, these are the activities that move the company forward from where they are now. These are the activities that make the company more efficient, more productive, more profitable. These are the activities that make the organization better. And these are the activities we hope will happen when we're putting together our strategic plans. However, here's the problem. We have a whole other category of activities, our daily activities. These are the activities around our functional day-to-day duties, such as keeping the doors open, servicing the customer, dealing with surprises and putting out fires, and all the other routine activities we do on a daily basis. This is our normal existing routine. And our time gets sucked up with these day-to-day activities, and we typically don't have any time or energy left to do anything else. That's the conflict. We fail to recognize the importance of managing strategy execution, instead allowing it to be eclipsed by the urgency of the day-to-day activities. This is the reason why organizational initiatives fail to get fully implemented. So here's the big question. How does an organization manage the activities that keep the lights on while also managing the activities that move the organization forward? We have the answer to that question. After 14 years, we found the missing link. We have developed the process and the system that integrates the activities that move the company forward while still performing the functional day-to-day activities. We have the solution for successfully executing strategic initiatives year after year. And as I said earlier, execution is not as intuitive or as straightforward as you might think. Now, I don't know if this process is a good fit for your organization because it takes courage and commitment. And I also don't know if I'm a good fit as a consultant because a lot of people find being held accountable uncomfortable. Those remain to be seen. But I do know this: strategy execution management is the missing link, and it needs to be on your radar. Isn't it worth investing 30 minutes of your time to find out if this is indeed the missing link for your organization? If you think it is worth the investment of 30 minutes and you want to learn more about this missing link, give me a call at 919-847-6235 or send me an email at gary@gary-tomlinson.com. Thanks for your time today, and I'll leave you with this thought. The most foundational capability an organization can have is knowing how to plan and execute while overcoming the daily surprises that always seem to get in the way of what's most important.